All right, this is a little demo video of the newly launched Debug Mode and how it can help you build user routes and workflows even faster. So I already started with a little new route, nothing fancy yet. We disabled authentication, it's public. And then we already see that we have a new Debug Mode button down right. Currently nothing shown, and that is because this new route actually has never been called before. And so there's nothing to show here because this screen will show you all the executions that have taken place on your user route or workflow. So let's go ahead and test the draft route that we're currently building, and we'll see that it now has execution. It executed version 3, that is the current version. The numbers here increment on each autosave. So whenever you change something, the autosave triggers and you will increment the version number, and then you can deploy these version numbers and see these number incrementing. You have which version we executed right now, and we never deployed this route yet. So it is the draft version that we're currently working on. You see the timestamp that was when we execute this route, and we see the HTTP status code. And here in green highlighted, we see that the action executed successfully. And here we even see the output that this action produced, so that every following action can use inputs.body, inputs.header, inputs.path, and inputs.query. So everything is 0 until now. So let's go ahead and go into the body, add something here, so we can see that this is then also reflected in the call. We'll now see that a new execution has taken place. And within the new execution, we see that this actually has now been mapped into inputs.body. And then we can now use inputs.body in every following action and use the input that we provided either through here, through Postman, or through the live environment where we called this action. So this route currently is not rather interesting. So let's add some more actions. Before we do that, here we see all the recent requests. So 2 recent requests are the 2 draft mode requests we did already. There's no live request yet because we haven't deployed the request, and the deploy also then hasn't been called. We can set headers here, which also will add to the test that you can run. And then we'll see also the header being put into here. And yeah, let's quickly jump into a more exciting route to see that what it would actually look like with more actions. Let's again head into the debug mode, and we already see the last executions happened a few minutes ago. And we have not only the initial action, but also database action, a variable action, and it shows us it worked down the true case of the if action. So if we then see database action, okay, it outputted no error, it found a result in the database. We can then set this database output then to the variable. Here we see the config that we actually used within the variable action, and we can even toggle now what the variable that we used here evaluated to. So when we toggle it, okay, it evaluated to 1. This is why the output now makes the 1 accessible through steps.item.value. And we can then have the if condition work on that item.value. And here we say, okay, if steps item.value is equal to 1, which also evaluated to 1 equals 1, so true, it will go down the true case. Here we already also see lots more of the draft and live request. So version 34 already has been put to live, so it can actually also be called from there. And if we go back and we modify something here, for example, we go here and trigger the autosave. So now notice that it's not, the newest version is not deployed yet. And we head back to debug mode. We now have this button executing the newest draft version that we currently modified. So it's version 35. but we can also switch and go, okay, but I'm still wanting to currently test the live mode. So testing the live mode will currently execute the 34, the version. And we can see the differences in these two, that here the exclamations mark are in it, and here we have the old version executed. And yeah, the last thing I just wanted to show you quickly is we have also the resend button. So any action that you currently have selected here, you can also just resend to see, okay, I want to now re-trigger it, see how it currently works. And we have the action log button. And the action log button is simply the whole record of all variables that have been produced by your workflow. So you can see on one glance all the variables that are accessible. We have the 4 input variables that are created on workflow creation, and then we have the database output as well as the variable output. And then we can quickly on one glance see, there's the output from the database, that's the output of the variable. And we might see some misalignment on how we configure the workflow and how we thought, okay, this variable might be this, but actually something else. And with that, we can more easily see what then is happening in the workflow. And only one last thing I want to show you is how it would look like with an error case. So let's delete the database action, because we can just create an empty one, put some name in here, but don't put a query in here. And when we execute that one, we can simulate an error where it says, okay, here will actually, it's warning color, and we see the error is because we left the query empty. And yeah, with that, you can have a more easy look into what the actions have done, what the actions have produced for an error. We might, for example, see that if we put this on authentication required, that we then have to actually provide the authentication, otherwise it will fail and say, okay, authentication is missing. And the debug mode in that sense is really enabling to more quickly iterate, to more quickly see what's happening and help you build the workflow even better and even faster. Hope you enjoy it, have a fun playing around, and let us know how you find it.